Qur'an, Chapter 19, Surah Maryam Mary, by Sayyid Qutb, translation by Muhammad Al-Amrani. This surah's main theme centers around the profound concept of God's oneness, unequivocally denying any offspring or associates to the divine, and addressing the resurrection with God's oneness as its foundation. This central theme is a hallmark of most Meccan surahs. It begins with the narrative of Zechariah and his son John, peace be upon them, followed by the miraculous birth of Mary and Jesus, peace be upon them. It then transitions to glimpses from the story of Ibrahim, peace be upon him, and his father, and continues to mention the prophets Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Aaron, Ishmael, Enoch, Adam, and Noah. May God's peace and blessings be upon them. These narratives occupy about 2/3 of the surah, aiming to affirm divine oneness, the reality of resurrection, and to refute the notions of divine offspring and associates, while elucidating the paths of the guided and the misguided. The surah then unfolds scenes of the resurrection, engages in debate with those who deny it, condemns shirk or polytheism and the claims of divine offspring, and vividly portrays the fates of deniers and polytheists in this life and the hereafter. All of these elements coherently align with the surah's central theme and narrative axis. The context of this surah is rich with strong emotions and feelings resonating within human and cosmic souls that surround it. The cosmos, often perceived as inanimate, is presented with soul, senses and emotions, contributing to the depiction of the surah's overall atmosphere. The heavens, earth and mountains are portrayed as being on the verge of splitting and sighing in indignation to the notion that God has taken a son. The prevailing tone is one of mercy, pleasure and connection. The surah begins with a mention of God's mercy towards his servant Zechariah. This is an account of the grace which your sustainer bestowed upon his servant Zechariah. John is mentioned among God's graces, noted for his tenderness, affection, and freedom from arrogance and rebellion. We granted him wisdom while he was yet a little boy, and endowed him with compassion and purity, and he was conscious of us and full of piety towards his parents, and never was he haughty or rebellious. Verses 19:12-14. Similarly, we detect a distinctive rhythmic melody throughout the surah. Even the tones of its letters and pauses are rich and deep-pleased, private, tender, saved. Where intensity is required, the pause typically emphasizes with elongation letters mad, gave, owed, I, aid, or zay mighty fared. Upon concluding these narratives, the surah addresses the truth about Jesus, son of Mary, delivering a final verdict on his sonship. Here the verse endings shift, employing words with a long E or U vowel, followed by a nasal M or N, imparting a sense of finality and resolution. The surah demonstrates a clear variety in rhythm, pauses and rhyme, all fitting the tone and subject matter. It begins with the story of Zechariah and John, characterized by specific pauses and rhymes. This is an account of the grace which your sustainer bestowed upon his servant Zechariah. When he called out to his sustainer in the privacy of his heart, he prayed, O my sustainer, feeble have become my bones, and my head glistens with grey hair. And never, my sustainer, has my prayer unto thee remained unanswered. Verses 1-3. This is followed by the narrative of Mary and Jesus, adhering to the same structural system, and call to mind in this book Mary, when she withdrew from her family to an eastern place, and kept herself in seclusion from them. Whereupon we sent unto her our Spirit, and he appeared to her in a well-proportioned human being, verses 19, 16-70, and so on. When these stories conclude, the surah offers commentary to affirm the true nature of Jesus, son of Mary, and resolve the issue of offspring. Here the pauses and rhymes change. The pauses lengthen, ending in a stable, motionless noon rather than the drawn-out, soothing Yah. Such was, in the words of truth, Jesus the Son of Mary, about whose nature they dispute. It is not conceivable that God should have taken unto himself a son, limitless is he in his glory. When he wills a thing to be, he but says unto it be, and it is. Verses 19:34 to 35 and so forth. Once the commentary and resolution end, the drawn-out, soothing Yah rhyme returns as the surah resumes its storytelling and call to mind, through this divine writ, Abraham. Behold, he was a man of truth and a prophet when said unto his father, O my father, why do you worship something that neither hears nor sees, and can be of no avail whatever to thee? Verses 19:41 to 42. When the surah addresses the deniers and mentions torment and revenge, the melody and rhyme alter. Say, as for him who lives in error, may the Most Gracious lengthen the span of his life, until the time when they behold that doom of which they were forewarned, whether it be suffering in this world or the last hour. For then they will surely know who is worse in status and weaker in soldiers. At the point of condemnation, the sound and tune intensify with an emphasis on ta. And they alleged, the Most Gracious has taken unto himself a son. Indeed, you have brought forth something monstrous, whereat the heavens almost rupture into fragments, and the earth split asunder, and the mountains fall down in ruins. Verses 19:88 to 91 and so on. Thus the musical rhythm of the surah shifts with its meaning and atmosphere, contributing to coherent shades amid transitions between tones and meanings. This surah proceeds in 3 sections. First section. This contains the stories of Zechariah and John and Mary and Jesus, along with commentary resolving the disputed issue of Jesus, much debated between Jews and Christians. Second section. This features an excerpt from Ibrahim's story, highlighting his abandonment of idolatry and the establishment of a monotheistic community. It includes mentions of other prophets, those guided and misguided who followed them, and the fates of both groups. This section culminates in a declaration of the sole sustainership worshipped without associate, the sustainer of the heavens and the earth and all that is between them. Worship then him alone, and remain steadfast in his worship. Do you know any whose name is worthy to be mentioned side by side with his? Verses 19:65. Third and final section. This begins with debates on resurrection, exhibits scenes of resurrection, and displays cosmic indignation at polytheistic claims. It concludes powerfully with scenes of past nations' destruction, and how many a generation have we destroyed before their time? Can you perceive any one of them now, or hear any whisper of them? Verses 19:98.